I actually thought this was common knowledge, but seeing some of my own family members have basically a shrine to this cat, I said I'd better say something about it. That brings me to the biggest child molester and occult practitioner since Aleister Crowley himself, Michael Jackson. There isn't a person under the age of 60 that has not been bewitched by this wizard. Of everything we have spoken of thus far, Michael Jackson was a master, spinning his Socratic spell casting, Enochian sex magic, blaspheming, and spirit channeler's web on an entire world of unsuspecting sheep. Think about it for a second. If these hip hoppers will sell their soul for a record deal, just imagine what Michael had to give up to become the king of pop. All one has to do is look at this cat to see that he was possessed with a legion of demons. The child molesting facts, you let them go. Acting like he was Peter Pan living in Neverland facts, you let them go. Sleeping in air chambers, hanging out with Bubbles the monkey, and carrying Emmanuel Lewis around like a rag doll facts, you let them all go. So I realize you guys are a tough crowd to convince, so I dug a little deeper. Now I want y'all to pay attention to this. Pay attention. Listen to the description of this and tell me who does this sound like? According to the 1911 Encyclopedia Britannica under Corybantes, and that's Corybanthes, quote, in Greek mythology, half divine, half demonic beings, bearing the same relations to the Asiatic great mother of the gods. In art, the Corybantes appear usually not more than 2 or 3 in number, fully armed, and executing their orgasmic dance in the presence of the Great Mother, her lions, and Attis. They had their hair dressed and waved like women. They were heavily made up, with their faces resembling whitewashed walls. They were castrated and keepers of children and infants. They made wild cries and high-pitched shrills while they performed their dances to the music of pipes and dubbing of the tambourines. When the deity slash goddess would enter into them, they would be possessed by divine power. They would dance uncontrollably in a ecstatic frenzy. That's it. In an ecstatic frenzy. Example. Bingo. This is where Michael got his entire style from. The bleaching of his skin, wearing military uniform type costumes. That's when he wasn't dressed like the Metropolitan Maria. That's her. The waved hair, his fascination on being Peter Pan, the high-pitched screams he is so famous for, and dancing his ass off. You think it's just a coincidence, huh? Okay, did you know his hit song, Blame It on the Boogie, was actually telling us he was possessed by the devil to have dancing feet? Quote, that nasty boogie bugs me like somebody has drugged me. The spellbound rhythm gets me on my feet. I changed my life completely. I seen that lightning leave me. And my baby just can't take her eyes off me. Now I'm going to keep going. The magic music moves me. That dirty rhythm grooves me. The devil's got into me. With his dance, I'm full of funky fever. A fire burns inside me. Boogie's got me in a super trance. Example. I know. You still think I'm just picking on Mike, right? That was just a harmless song, right? Michael has openly admitted on 2020 to receiving his songs in 3 ways. 1, he climbs what he calls his giving tree. I remember watching this interview as he actually climbed this tree. 2, dreams. This is the reason why it was reported Michael would sleep for days at a time. This is also one of the reasons for the air chamber the media went crazy over. But I must admit, it also helps with injury healing by packing oxygen within the red blood cells. So I can't totally slam him on this one. As he aged, sleep was becoming harder and harder to come by. Thus, more and more drugs had to be used to get the next big hit. Now, the third was revealed in the Psychic News in 1987, where Michael said, quote, I have my own secret room with a moving wall and mirrors. This is where I talk to Lib, which is short for Liberace. I hear his voice in there. I feel his presence. He is so very close to me. He's like my guardian angel. He even gave me permission to record his title, I'll Be Seeing You. Example, this story was corroborated in the New York Daily News, June 7, 2013, when Liberace's ex-lover, Scott Thornton, spilled the beans that he and Michael had a 7-year affair. Quote, Liberace's former lover is opening up about an affair he had with Michael Jackson. Scott Thornton, whose memoirs about his relationship with the rhinestone-loving Liberace inspired HBO's flick Behind the Candelabra, claims that he and the King of Pop had a year-long romantic relationship. Quote, Liberace introduced me and Michael in the late 1970s. It was right around the time Thriller was coming out, and Michael and I became lovers. He first spoke out about the affair in the National Enquirer in 2004, when he described his initial sexual encounter with Michael Jackson at the home of the late British female impersonator Danny LaRue. Quote, you know what? I ain't even going to read that part. Well, okay, let me go ahead and read it. I was standing only a few feet away from Michael when he motioned with his hands to come over to him, and I joined him in bed. I climbed onto the bed. Our love-making session lasted about an hour. Example, Michael was a master in gay Enochian sex magic. He was introduced at the age of 6, and like men and little boys. According to Aleister Crowley, quote, for the highest spiritual working, one must accordingly choose that victim which contains the greatest and purest force. A male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most satisfactory and suitable victim. That was Aleister Crowley in his book entitled 777. Question, gentle strangers. Am I the only person to notice on the Dangerous album cover Michael Jackson has a prominent picture of Aleister Crowley? Am I the only person to notice Michael's hand is holding a naked child who in turn is holding the skull of a dragon? Notice the horns. Notice the horns. Did anyone notice the globe is turned upside down, just like the scriptures told us they would be? What about his History album cover? The very fact he erects an idol statue of himself is bad enough. But did anyone notice the 777 on his armband and the fully military gear garb? He was telling us then he was the world's best carbonic, as the world wept with joy for him. Is Michael outbidding Paul McCartney for the Crawley-loving Beatles song catalog starting to make sense to you now? If you are still not convinced, surely you can recall the We Are the World song, right? Did you actually listen to Michael's part? Okay, check it out. Quote, as God has shown us by turning stone into bread, we must lend a helping hand. We are the world. Example, you remember that part, right? Well, the only problem is, if the Messiah would have done this, we would all be doomed right now. Check it out. Matthew 4:3-4. Quote, and when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, it is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out the mouth of Yah. Example. So I got a question. Who is Michael's God to have said that? I think it is quite obvious now. Here's another verse that sticks out like a sore thumb. Quote, it's a choice we're making to saving our own lives. Example. Again, this is satanic. You are making a choice to save your own life, huh? You can't save shit. Yet even churches held memorial service for this warlock. Quote, we're taking over. We have the truth. This is the mission, to see it through. Don't point your finger, not dangerous. This is our planet. You're one of us. We're sending out a major love, and this is our message to you. The planets are lining up. We're bringing brighter days. They're all in line, waiting for you. Can't you see? You're just another part of me. That was from the song entitled Another Part of Me. Wow. This isn't the most blatant warning I have ever heard. I don't know what is. Yet, many walls and many homes are adorned with this guy's likeness. But wait, remember me saying he was a Socratic wizard? I watched a video of him singing his song entitled Earth Song, and all I could truly hear was a serpent in the Garden of Eden. This cat starts blaming Yah for all the earth's ills and not bringing peace by repeatedly asking, what about this? What about that? All throughout his routine, he forever flashes the Baphomet horns and the OK 666 finger signs. He even did the infamous Baphomet as above, so below hand gestures in front of God and everybody. At the end of the song, he screams, you didn't give a damn. If that wasn't bad enough, he then strips to an all-white linen outfit and holds his arms out like the Jesus in Brazil statue, as though he was the savior. People started coming up to him 2 by 2 to kiss and hug him as he stands like the statue. Every once in a while, he would hug or kiss them back, but they were obviously worshiping him. A rabbi, a witch doctor, Hindu, and others came and paid homage to him. Quote, if you are a dancer, you know, you are just interpreting the sounds and the accompaniment of the music. If there's a driving bass, you become the bass. If there is a cello or a string, you become that. You become the emotion of what that sound is. That was Michael Jackson being interviewed by Oprah. Here's the extra credit for you. And we're going to wrap it up. Extra credit. This is from my Is It a Coincidence file. Remember when Michael Jackson was acquitted in his molestation trial, and he immediately left the country and moved to, of all places, Bahrain? Was I the only person to contemplate his actions were, to say the least, strange? I mean, this cat left immediately and went straight to Bahrain, and that's where he hung up in Bahrain. Well, guess what? Michael Jackson thumbed his nose at the American justice system twice. Once by beating the rap of touching on little boys, and the second was moving to a country where touching on little boy was the order of the day. According to Wikipedia, under human trafficking in Bahrain, quote, Bahrain is a destination country for men and women and children subjected to trafficking in persons, specifically forced labor and forced prostitution. Men and women from India, Pakistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines, Ethiopia. The Eritrean migrates voluntarily come to Bahrain to work as domestic workers or as unskilled laborers in the construction and service industries. Some, however, face conditions of forced labor after arriving in Bahrain, though use of such practices as unlawful withholding of passport, restrictions on movement, contract substitutions, non-payment of wages, threats, and physical or sexual abuse. Example. Wow. Is it a coincidence MJ moved directly there? Did MJ have enough of you guys prying eyes to move to wherever he could have those little boys without anyone being the wiser or even care for that matter? Wherever there are men and wherever there are kids, impoverished stars that are pedophiles will be there to take advantage of. I mean, I was going to do a book actually, but it was 83 pages of pure information. I hadn't even gone in and put in my little caveats, and I somehow erased it. It's still on my computer, but I can't get to it. Well, the words are still on my computer, but I can't get to it. If somebody knows how to do that, please let me know, because that was going to be my swan song as far as books, and it was power packed. Dealing with part of it was this pedophile ring that the government, all of the leading people, I think everybody's heard about Hollywood's casting couch and the pedophile ring there. But no, there's an international pedophile ring where the royals are being indicted, or not indicted, but indicated within this ring through all of the people that have been convicted or being questioned, all dropping dime and dropping name of the royal family. And this is all over the world and stuff like that, the Netherlands and stuff like that. It's just, it's absolutely amazing. Our own government. There was a, don't quote me, 60 Minutes, if not 60 Minutes, what? It was a reputable news agency, if we can say that anymore, that did a report. Was it Dan Rather? Somebody. I'll get it. To where it was a report on the Pentagon saying that there was over 5,000 different employees. Now this is different employees downloading child porn at the Pentagon, at work. Yeah. So this thing is this porn, child porn. And if you understand, I think we just read a little about it. That Enochian sex magic, where they go for these little boys of pure force, and it's that Aleister Crowley stuff, this pure satan. Look at that 777 on his armband. He never did explain why in the hell he has that on there, but we all know. The whitewashed face, the wavy hair, the castrating. I guess he didn't really castrate himself, but the way he act, that Peter Pan thing, because you do know Peter Pan was a girl, right? So, the boy loving, I mean, come on. Always wearing the military uniform. He was a quarterback, plain and simple. The dancing his ass off, the high screams, the shrills. That's his whole entire style. So I said that I said this same thing to a couple family members, and man, they kind of jumped on my throat, told me I was judging and all kind of stuff, because they he, I guess that spirit on him. You know, the scriptures tell you, once you turn your feet away from the evil, you become the prey. You know, the world loves its own, uh, but it hates the elect, the chosen, and the called. But it loves its own. So that's it. COROYBANT. Check it out. Google it. YouTube it. Like again, I thought this was common knowledge, but as I brought this out, just out in passing in conversation to some people, they looked at me as though I farted in an elevator or something, you know, and they kind of shunned me from that point forward. It ain't been the same yet, so it is what it is. It's my job to tell you, so that's what I'm gonna do. Thank you very much for listening, and watch for the next video.